In 2008, a man lost $3 billion in a single day. Today, he's worth over $100 billion. What did he do differently? He learned to turn failure into fuel. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to do the same. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Failure is inevitable. Whether you're building a business, climbing the corporate ladder, or managing investments, you will fail. The difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck isn't talent or luck, it's how they respond when things fall apart. In the next 15 minutes, you're going to learn the exact framework that top entrepreneurs, investors, and executives use to transform their biggest setbacks into massive comebacks. We'll break down real examples from American business leaders, dive into the psychology behind resilience, and give you actionable strategies you can apply today. No fluff, no theory, just proven methods that work in the real world. Let's get started. Let's go back to that opening story. The man who lost $3 billion in one day? That's Elon Musk. In 2008, during the financial crisis, Tesla was bleeding cash. SpaceX had failed 3 rocket launches in a row, and Musk was on the verge of bankruptcy. He had a choice: give up or double down. He chose to invest his last remaining funds into both companies. Today, Tesla's market cap has exceeded $800 billion, and SpaceX dominates the private space industry. But here's the critical insight. Musk didn't just survive failure, he weaponized it. A Harvard Business School study analyzed over 2,600 venture-backed startups between 1975 and 2005. The findings? Entrepreneurs who had previously failed and then started another company had a significantly higher success rate than first-time founders. Why? Because failure is information. It's the most expensive education you can get, and most people waste it. In Silicon Valley, there's an unwritten rule. If you haven't failed at least once, investors question whether you've taken big enough risks. Companies like Google, Amazon, and Meta have entire divisions dedicated to failure reports, internal analyses of what went wrong and why. Jeff Bezos famously said, "Failure and invention are inseparable twins." Amazon's biggest wins, AWS, Prime, Kindle, all came after massive public failures like the Fire Phone and Amazon auctions. The takeaway? Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's a requirement for it. Most people treat failure as a verdict, a final judgment. I failed, therefore I am a failure. But high performers treat failure as data. They ask different questions. Instead of, "Why did this happen to me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of, "I'm not good enough," they ask, "What skill do I need to develop?" This isn't just positive thinking, it's strategic thinking. Admiral James Stockdale was a prisoner of war in Vietnam for over 7 years. He was tortured repeatedly, yet he survived when many others didn't. Years later, Jim Collins interviewed him for the book Good to Great. Stockdale explained that the prisoners who didn't make it weren't the pessimists, they were the optimists, the ones who said, "We'll be out by Christmas," and when Christmas came and went, they lost hope. Stockdale's approach? You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality. This is the paradox. You need unwavering faith in the outcome and brutal honesty about the present. That combination turns failure into fuel. Here's what happens in your brain when you fail. Your amygdala, the fear center, lights up. It triggers a threat response. Your body floods with cortisol. This is why failure feels so visceral. But research from Stanford shows that if you reframe failure as a learning opportunity within 24 hours, your prefrontal cortex, the planning and problem-solving center, takes over. Your brain literally rewires itself to see obstacles as challenges, not threats. The people who bounce back fastest, they've trained themselves to make this mental shift automatically. Here's a simple exercise used by Y Combinator founders. After every failure, ask yourself 3 questions. What went wrong specifically? What was within my control? And what will I do differently next time?
Write it down. This moves the experience from emotional to analytical. You're no longer a victim of failure, you're a scientist studying it. In 1985, Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, the company he founded. He called it devastating. He was 30 years old, publicly humiliated, and lost. But instead of giving up, Jobs started Next Computer and bought a little animation studio called Pixar for $10 million. Next failed as a hardware company, but it developed software that would later become the foundation of Mac OS X. Pixar? It created Toy Story and was sold to Disney for $7.4 billion. In 1997, Apple bought Next, bringing Jobs back. Within a decade, he launched the iPod, iPhone, and iPad, products that generated over $2 trillion in market value. Jobs later said, "Getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again." In 2007, Starbucks was failing. Stock prices dropped by 42%. The brand had expanded too fast, lost its identity, and customers were leaving. Howard Schultz, who had stepped down as CEO, came back. His first move? He closed 7,100 stores for an afternoon to retrain baristas. It cost the company $6 million. Wall Street called it insane. But Schultz knew the failure wasn't about coffee, it was about experience. He refocused on quality, closed underperforming stores, and rebuilt the brand from the inside out. By 2012, Starbucks hit record profits. Today, it's worth over $100 billion. Schultz didn't just fix the company, he used the failure to clarify what Starbucks actually was and wasn't. Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, grew up with a father who asked her every night at dinner, "What did you fail at today?" If she didn't have an answer, he'd be disappointed. This taught her that failure wasn't something to avoid, it was proof she was trying. When she started Spanx, she faced rejection after rejection. Manufacturers told her the product wouldn't work. Investors said women wouldn't buy it. Retail stores refused to stock it. She kept going. Today, Spanx is worth over $1 billion, and Blakely became the youngest self-made female billionaire in America. Her secret? She celebrated failure as progress. Here's something most people miss. Failure is expensive market research. If you launch a product and it flops, you've just paid to learn what your customers don't want. That's data most companies spend millions on focus groups to discover. Case study: Google Glass failed spectacularly in the consumer market, but that failure taught Google invaluable lessons about augmented reality, privacy concerns, and user behavior. Those insights now power Google's enterprise AR products and inform the development of future technologies. The failure wasn't a loss, it was a $1.5 billion R&D investment. Top-tier VC firms expect 70 to 80% of their investments to fail or break even, but the 20% that succeed generate 10x, 50x, or even 100x returns. The model requires failure, it's built into the math. Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal and an early Facebook investor, said, "If you're not failing, you're not innovating fast enough." This isn't recklessness, it's calculated risk-taking. The faster you fail, the faster you learn, and the faster you find what works. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, talks about the 1% improvement rule. If you get 1% better every day for a year, you'll end up 37 times better. But here's the part people forget. Getting better means failing better. Each small failure, each experiment that doesn't work, is a 1% course correction. Over time, those corrections compound into massive success. Amazon runs thousands of A/B tests every year. Most fail, but the 2% that succeed drive billions in revenue. From a pure financial perspective, business failures in the US can be strategically valuable.
Net operating losses can be carried forward to offset future taxable income. Failed ventures can teach you what markets to avoid, saving you from bigger losses later. Smart entrepreneurs don't just recover from failure, they extract maximum value from it. Your action plan. How to apply this today. Step 1. Conduct a failure audit. Take 30 minutes this week and list your 3 biggest failures in the last 5 years. For each one, write what happened, what I learned, and how I've applied that lesson. If you can't identify a lesson, you haven't processed the failure yet. Go deeper. Step 2. Build a rapid experimentation system. Stop thinking in terms of success or failure. Start thinking in terms of experiments. Pick one area of your life or business where you're stuck. Design 3 small experiments you can run this month. Make them cheap and fast. Example, testing a business idea? Don't build the full product. Create a landing page, run $100 in ads, and see if anyone clicks buy. If they do, you've validated demand. If they don't, you've saved months of wasted effort. Step 3. Create a failure journal. Every Friday, write down one thing that didn't go as planned that week. Then write what you'll do differently next week. This builds the mental muscle of turning setbacks into strategy. Step 4. Surround yourself with people who failed. Read biographies, listen to podcasts, join communities where failure is normalized. When you're surrounded by people who've been through the fire and come out stronger, you realize failure isn't fatal, it's just part of the process. Step 5. Set a failure goal. This sounds counterintuitive, but it works. Set a goal to fail at least once per quarter. Apply for a job you're not qualified for. Pitch an idea that scares you. Launch something before it's perfect. Why? Because if you're not failing, you're playing it too safe. And playing it too safe is the biggest failure of all. Here's the bottom line. Failure isn't the enemy. Mediocrity is. Every person you admire, every company you respect, has a graveyard of failures behind them. The difference is they didn't let those failures define them. They let them refine them. You're going to fail. That's not pessimism, it's math. The question is, will you waste the failure or will you weaponize it? Because here's what I've learned studying hundreds of successful people. The ones who win aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall forward. So the next time something doesn't work out, don't ask, why me? Ask, what now? That shift from victim to strategist is where everything changes. If this video gave you a new perspective on failure, do me a favor, hit that like button. It helps more people find this content. And if you want more deep dives on success principles, psychology, and strategic thinking, subscribe and turn on notifications. We release a new video every week. Drop a comment and tell me, what's one failure you're going to reframe this week? I read every single one. Thanks for watching. Now go turn your setbacks into your greatest comeback.